Okay, it's time to talk about Cleveland, and I probably took a little too long to get to this. They are now 12-0. They look fantastic. And also, this video has a sponsor. At first, I'm going to do general observations, and then, especially when we get to the defense, we'll talk about like more specific stretches of games. It's many things. It's Kenny Atkinson's influence. It's Darius Garland having a bounce back and then some season. It's improvement as well as encouragement from the coaching staff and the team for Evan Mobley. It is a great bench. And Donovan Mitchell and Jarrett Allen continue to be as awesome as they always have been. Real quick Atkinson stuff. They're playing faster. Their transition numbers, their seconds per possession, their pace, all of these numbers suggest, and also just watching them, they're playing faster. There's more urgency. They're getting into sets quickly. They're pushing more. And I would say there's also more just motion sets sprinkled into the offense as well. And I think this is where we can lead into Darius Garland. So Garland, besides just recovering from all the injuries and weirdness of last season, it feels like there's just more creative sets that are being run for him. I mean, these handoff actions that he's running with what feels like Jarrett Allen a lot of the time, he is sprinting into these. It also feels like there's been more empty side actions, clear one side of the floor, let Allen, and I mean, some of it is Mobley, but maybe I've just noticed the Allen ones the most. I mean, rotations-wise, Garland and Allen are pretty much sticking to each other, and then Mitchell and Mobley are mostly playing together once they start making substitutions out of the starting five. And then there's specific plays that I don't really know the name of, but they're just kind of cool. I'll just give you random ones. Like in the Knicks game, they've got a play where Garland relocates from the free throw line to the wing after Dean Wade and Jarrett Allen run a handoff action. So Wade's got the ball like at the top of the key, throws it to Garland, who then uses like two different Allen screens, one to get open and then another one on the ball, which allows him to get downhill. And it also feels like there's been more times where Garland and Mitchell are involved in like the same off-ball action where maybe one of them screens for the other and you don't really know which one's going to flow into the action with the big. And I feel like there's also been stretches where you have like guards or wings screening for Garland for the sake of going at a specific matchup. So late in the Nets game, it was get Cam Thomas in the action against Garland. In the Bucks game, there were a couple of plays of getting Dame in the action against Garland, and maybe that's like a Coro screening for him. So Garland looks great. His passing is still as awesome as ever, of course. And the box score numbers are good, 20 and 6, but the real crazy stuff is the efficiency. I mean, 47% from 3, 59% from 2, 66 true shooting. Feels like there's also been a few extra cuts per game where like Allen or Mobley have the ball around the three-point line, and then there's enough spacing to get in there. And I didn't focus on this as much because it's just kind of a given, but he is covering a lot of ground in his step backs, and he's taking some pull-up threes off of misses or in transition where he is just going up with complete confidence right now. I mean, one specifically in the Warriors game that kind of made it like, oh, this is how this game's going to go. Anyway, before we get to Mobley, the defense, and the bench, this video is sponsored by SeatGeek, which means that if your team is playing the Cavs soon, like my Celtics are in about a week, or if you're in the Cleveland area and you want to see the Cavs at home, or of course if you want to see any NBA game, you can do that with SeatGeek, and you can use my code FUNKY10 for 10% off your next order on SeatGeek. And that is, of course, whether you are a new customer or not, and while I know you guys are all NBA fans, you can use it for festivals, concerts, other sports, the NFL, NHL, whatever you want. SeatGeek rates deals on a score of 1 to 10. Green means good, red means bad, so look for the green dots. No matter how many times you've used SeatGeek before, you can use, once again, my code FUNKY10 for 10% off your next order. And you can find my link in the description of this video as well as the pinned comment. I have used SeatGeek to go to several Celtics games in my life. It's always been a good process. One more time, no matter how many times you have used SeatGeek in the past, you can use my code FUNKY10 for 10% off your next order. Link is in the description and the pinned comment. Then we get to Mobley, and I have talked about Mobley a bit already in other videos, but once again, the growth and encouragement to just make things happen with the ball. If somebody's sagging off of you, just drive at him, whether it's Franz Wagner, whether it's Kevon Looney. I mean, he hit Kevon Looney with just like a crossover, and he's just getting right by him in the Warriors game. Did a similar thing to Draymond, one that didn't count because he basically ran him over. I think there was a foul somewhere. But another one that did count where he just took him off the dribble. Although he actually scored over Jackson Davis, who switched at the last second. In their last one against the Nets, 3 different scores. One is he scores in the post on Claxton. He bullies Schroeder on a switch in the post. And another one, he just takes Jalen Wilson off the dribble. Uses like a between-the-leg dribble to get to the paint and just finish. And he had a 23 overall. So that's good stuff. I'm not focusing on Mitchell as much because it's just like, yeah, Donovan Mitchell's really good. His pull-up threes have been going crazy. And if you want a Donovan Mitchell takeover moment, it was that fourth quarter against the Pelicans where it was just pretty much simple ISOs, whether it was a tough jumper, whether it was a drive. And similar thing with Jarrett Allen. When we get to the defense, there's going to be a lot of Jarrett Allen mentions, and also his like passes out of the elbow, like backdoor cuts for Sam Merrill. Garland's been able to get into some cutting here and there as well. Good stuff. Now we could talk about the bench. I think their last one against the Nets, where they came back in the fourth quarter, kind of sums up so much about their second unit, where I mean, Ty Jerome had a million plays, whether it was like locking up Schroeder to force a turnover or coming out of nowhere to steal it from Claxton at the free throw line, or like hitting a LeVert with this bullet skip pass from like 3 feet behind the three-point line, then LeVert drives in for a score, or hitting Mobley on a pick and roll for a dunk. But then also defensively, you had plays where like Niang would switch onto Schroeder, and then he's driving, and then Dean Wade is contesting him at the rim, or Karras and Sam Merrill just playing hard through all this as well. Like, yes, Garland had 8 points in that fourth quarter, and a lot of it was just whoever Cam Thomas is on, screen for Garland so Garland can go at him. But still, I don't think they make that comeback if it's not for their bench. I mean, Ty Jerome played basically the entire fourth quarter, where Karis LeVert's playing hard as hell and also just can't miss a three. And him and Ty Jerome both being able to like reliably handle and make plays with the ball in their hands coming off the bench. Like, not a lot of teams have two guys who you can feel good about that with. Sam Merrill's just flowing around, whether it's ghost screens, backdoor cuts, transition threes, down screens. Niang and Dean Wade are good. And I'll call myself out real quick. My reaction to the Cavs trading for Karis LeVert was pretty whatever. I think they've been very happy with him. His just general effort everywhere, and then also he did tap into that playmaking potential that he was showing with the Nets. 5 assists per game last year, almost 5 this year, playing like 23 minutes a game so far. And also, if I can just talk about Okoro, like in all these games I'm mentioning, he's on Cam Thomas in the Nets game, he's on Dame in the Bucks game, he's on Draymond in the Warriors game so they can switch actions. Offensively, his drives continue to look good, whether it's a catch and drive to keep the play moving or finishing. He basically doesn't turn the ball over at all at this point. And the percentages on the shots that he does take are good. You need guys like Okoro. Now let's go to the defense and to some of the moments where they're just kind of killing teams, honestly. Like, you can look at the recent one against the Warriors where the game was over pretty quick. I thought the first interesting thing was them putting Isaac Okoro on Draymond, which allowed them to switch Draymond-Steph screen actions. And then Mobley was mostly helping off of Wiggins, but then, flow of the game stuff, you might end up on somebody else. You can get burned helping off of a good shooter, but the Cavs did not have a problem in this game. Like, the Warriors' offense was better in the second half, but first half the lead got so crazy, and also Wiggins didn't even really pop off like that. Anyway, specific plays. As I say all that, we did have a play where Mobley was not on Wiggins, and Allen ended up guarding a Wiggins pick and roll. And so Allen plays that high up. Wiggins did have baseline, but he didn't just have a straight line because of Allen, and then Mobley was there to meet him at the rim. And while I do think, the guards are working hard, Okoro is just a damn good on-ball defender. I do think that so much of this just comes back to the versatility and at the same time, rim protection of Mobley and Allen. One of them can be high up on an action, the other one can be the help guy. Sometimes they're both just waiting for you at the rim. And so, more plays in that Warriors game. Mobley contesting Steph on a floater, Jared Allen helping off of Draymond to contest a Jonathan Kuminga, paint fadeaway thing. In the Pelicans game, couple plays, Jared Allen blocks Yves Missi trying to dunk on him. Another time he has a great contest on Zion. Both of those led to fast break layups. If we look at one of those fourth quarters against the Bucks where the Bucks had a lead and then the Cavs just broke their heart. Dame went crazy in that game overall, but you got to play where Mobley switches onto him late and just does a great job contesting a step back three. Another time where Okoro does a good job of staying on Dame's hip on a screen action, and then Jared Allen's just waiting for him at the rim, and so Dame has to pull off this very tight window pass to Bobby Portis, who can't handle it. It's a turnover. A couple times where Allen or Mobley just had good defense on Bobby Portis in the post. I could be remembering this wrong, but I think I said this in a previous video. In their win against the Knicks, I remember a decent amount of plays where Jared Allen was either switched onto Brunson or at least higher up on the action, not just allowing him to just get downhill whenever he wanted. The Cavs are really good. The questions are, what is next? Well, I think number one, let's see what it looks like when the three-point shooting normalizes at least somewhat, because they're having stretches where they're just torching teams from three. The first quarter against the Lakers is probably the biggest example of that. They're shooting 41% from three on the year right now. That's going to go down at least a bit. I don't think they're going to crater or anything. The next thing is, honestly, let's see if the Eastern Conference can just get it together, really. We've got 2 teams above 500 right now. There's injuries and various other things we can get into with specific teams, and I'll probably do that in a future video. Although I do want to do a bit on just the Knicks next up, probably. And then the last thing is just how do the Cavs compare to the Celtics? And then I guess the last thing would be, if you just want to be a super skeptic on them and just reference the Knicks series of a couple years ago, their offense wasn't good enough then. And also, Mobley and Allen were not ready for Mitchell Robinson, and Mobley wasn't ready to make teams pay for putting him in the middle of the floor with room to operate. But now Mobley looks way better, and their whole offense looks way better. And Max Strus has not played, so they got another shooter coming back at some point here.